Welcome to part 1 of the Frownstrong Tarot series. It has been suggested that when approaching the tarot before any other, card 6 should be studied. It is an interesting curiosity that when equally spreading out the 21 numbered major arcana cards to form the shape of a pyramid, we get 6 cards at the bottom and equally 6 cards each on both sides going up. In the Frownstrong Tarot, card number 6 is called the Life card. This card, being number 6, carries the 6-pointed star, and that is where our study will begin. In the West, the 6-pointed star is known by its Arab name, the seal of Suleiman. Thus the seal of Solomon. It is, however, a very ancient symbol to be found in many ancient teaching systems all over the world. For example, in Japan it is called the Kakoma crest and will be seen in many of the oldest Shinto shrines all over the land. It is found in ancient Mesopotamian temples dedicated to the god Baal, among the Mayans of ancient Mexico, but probably nowhere else in the world does it play such a profound and important role than in India and its sphere of influence, where it can be found on thousands of years old temple walls and is known as the Satkon and used as a tool of expressing certain creational truths and law contained within the religious doctrines of Brahmanism. It is an interesting curiosity that both the Satkon and Saturnas feature a hexagon as a central feature. It is an interesting curiosity that the 6-pointed Satkon is found on exactly 6 cards of the Frownstrong Tarot, and when using this system applied in a traditional approach to the tarot of assigning astronomical bodies to 9 of the numbered major arcana cards and astrological signs to the remaining 12 numbered major arcana cards, then exactly 3 of those 6 cards containing the Satkon are assigned to astronomical bodies and the other 3 to astrological signs, thus these 6 making another Satkon together. One of the most effective ways to receive some insights into the significance of this symbol is by making one yourself and meditating on it, approaching the symbol from different angles. The Satkon consists of 2 interlocked triangles. The downward moving triangle can be interpreted as the journey of pure energy condensing into matter and thus creating the physical realms of creation, whilst the upward moving triangle can be interpreted within that context as the longing of matter to return to its original source of pure energy. On a planetary level, which is the setting for the Life card, this principle will translate itself as a form of consciousness accompanied with a boost of pure energy known as the spirit, whose function it is to prompt and kickstart the consciousness into proper activation, ascending down upon a planet's latest updated physical high-tech produce, the human model. On the other hand, the spirit now knows itself to be isolated and trapped within a physical limited body. The spirit, in her longing for unification, attempting to get out, which you cannot, as long as you live, will cause a sensation of being out of place, which might be translated as something missing, or things not being quite right. And this is how it should be. But the ignorant, not understanding the source of their all-out sense of, between brackets, dissatisfaction, may resort to destructiveness. Hence the importance of the right kind of knowledge, which will cause us to quell that sense of dissatisfaction by the constructive search towards our place in it all, thereby expanding, attracting and activating new levels of, by the lack of a better word, consciousness. If done properly, this will cause the establishment on this planet of a new state of being, anchoring on her latest experimental produce, the human being. Returning to the Satgon as a symbol of Brahmanic esoteric knowledge, we learn that the downward pointed triangle is understood to represent Purusha in the form of Shiva as the male energy, whilst the upward pointed triangle represents Prakriti in the form of Shakti as the female energy, expressing the understanding that an evolving creation in this part of the universe thanks its existence to two adjacent powers, one working by gravity condensating contraction, and the other working by rejecting solving dispersion. One of these powers, without interacting with the other, would either implode or explode. Hence, by words of metaphor, men without women to cool them down would burn themselves up. And equally by words of metaphor, women without men to warm them up would get petrified. However, the Satgon as a symbol representing the interlocked reciprocal dependency of the female and male forces in this universe is not necessarily well expressed by the general positioning of this symbol, for it can give rise in the ignorant to the idea that one gender is above the other. This is not the case, for they are equal but different. Rather, the passing of these two gender influences through the theater of human life on this planet is more powerfully understood by turning the Satgon sideways. For see that the divine spark that caused the two genders into being as a temporal house for specific function travel from and towards a different destiny each. They only temporarily interlock on this planet to gather and exchange the vitamins needed for the furtherance of their separate journey ahead. But also see that the Satgon carries a grim warning, because for those not firmly positioned on a quest for serving a higher purpose outside of themselves, life on this planet will turn into a prison where the two adjacent forces within themselves will constantly neutralize each other and cancel each other out. And this brings us to the next symbol in the life card, the Tree of Life. Like the six-pointed star, the Tree of Life is a very ancient symbol known to diverse peoples from around the world. With its deep roots, its trunk, bark and branches, it represents the tireless long-term efforts of creation, who with all her patience labors without rest or complaint towards the day that she will reach the state of being blessed by the presence of, between brackets, fruit. And as the law says, as above so below, there are many different levels of understanding its meanings. The level card 6 is dealing in, however, is the level of planet-human relations. And within these parameters, the fruit on the Tree of Life can be understood to represent the planet's achievements, such as oxygen, water, food, organic life, healing power and protection, with the whole purpose of setting the scene for inviting spirit-infused conscious life to enter her domain. A conscious life that contains the inbuilt potential of further development of consciousness, which may lead to the planet's inclusion into the higher realms of creation. And see that the six-pointed star, the Satcon, claimed by so many but understood by so little, in reality represents the contract struck between the planet and the promise of the human endeavor. A contract that intertwines and seals the fate of both human and planet, and see that the planet with unwavering loyalty maintains the fulfillment of her part of the contract. Then realize that the prohibition in the Hebrew saga for eating the fruit of the tree of life refers to the contractual prohibition for the human to greedily only take but not pay back, thus refusing to fulfill his part of the bargain. For as the Bhagavad Gita so poetically explains, lust and greed were like an all-consuming fire that will never be satisfied, only burn us up. Hence the analogy of the hellfire found all over the world and the outcry to flee the fire, anagramming to the tree of life. For as above, so below, the remedy, the tree of life, is also found within ourselves. As this example of Babylonian hidden art so beautifully reveals. Look at the awkward round shapes of these parts of the roots that are still seen above the ground, and see how they correspond exactly to the holes in the human pelvis, thus transforming the trunk of the tree of life into the human spine, with the winged deity above the tree corresponding with the human head, symbolizing the possible higher consciousness and connective being. And these wings brings us to the next symbol in this card, the free flying birds. For birds, in comparison with the earthbound creatures, have to some extent the ability to escape Earth's gravity grip, and thus of old have always been likened to a life form that can travel between heaven and earth. As such, it is not surprising to see among, for example, Aztecs and Egyptians alike, the notion of after the death of the physical body, the distillation of that human's essence, rising up to the sun in the shape of some kind of bird, thus expressing the ability to journey from one plane of existence towards a higher plane of existence. Likewise, the planet once having been a bare rock moon-like entity, now being an organic life nurturing planet, will one day, by means of proper functioning humanoids, enter sun or star level existence. And it is these three levels of the planet's possible development that can be seen in the form of free birds in full flight on the Frownstrong life card. And likewise, in human terms, we can speak of the physical level, the soul level, and the spirit level, which is in process but hasn't culminated yet into actuality. See that the human model of today embodies the planet's intermediate state between the current soul level being and higher integrated spirit level being. But also see that whilst the free birds moving in full flight in specified direction expresses creation's intent The two human beings, on the other hand, don't move, but rather appear like stagnant water, frozen in their position. And thus, above anything, the life card is a warning. For like the trees a fruit produce is seasonal, and the bird's migration is seasonal, likewise the humanoid appearance possibility must also be seasonal. And as the song says, time waits for no one, and it won't wait for me. For see that the humans, by virtue of their design, carry the Ankh, which means they have been granted the power to designate their own destiny, for they have been given, for reasons beyond the scope of this video, the choice to either include or exclude themselves from the higher planes of the creational tree of life, by activating or not their own inbuilt tree of life. And yet, though the human couple in this card is not moving, they do face the same direction as the three birds, and they are naked, meaning they are yet undecided. And this is why, to more fully understand the life card, it is recommended to study in conjunction with it also card 11, the Strength card, and card 14, Searcher Reads His Land's End card. And so it will be that these two cards will be our next stop in our journey through the Frownstone Tarot. Thank you for watching, and if it will be so, to next time.